Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at the Walmart exclusive reissues of the original Kenner, the real Ghostbuster figures. We have the 4 original Ghostbusters. We got Egon Spengler, Winston Zeddemore, Peter Venkman, and Ray Stantz. Now, real quick history on these in case you don't know the story. These were shown off at Toy Fair that Hasbro is going to be reissuing these original Kenner figures because they got the Ghostbusters license now for the new movie Afterlife, and they own Kenner, have for a while now, so it just made sense. They already had these molds, they figured why not. So we're very excited, at least I was very excited when I found out these were being reissued. I had most of these as a kid. I never had Egon, and with the like proton beam toy, those are almost all broken off. It was, if you were a kid in the 80s, it was very hard to keep these things actually pristine. For whatever reason, my Ray had begun to discolor, where his torso had kind of become more of a brown, like Peter's jumpsuit. Don't know why. I guess just over time, the aeration of the plastic changed colors, so I was kind of bummed about that. So when I heard these are being reissued, I thought, I got to get these, right? I'm super pumped for this. So the pre-orders went up in February when they were announced, and I just kind of assumed I would start hunting these on my own. But then when it became very apparent that the world had changed and going hunting for toys was not really something that I was going to be doing on a regular basis, I decided to try to get pre-orders in. So I think I got my pre-orders in on the Walmart website maybe late March, early April, something like that. And so they had a June, like the first week of June release date. I want to say June 8th, if that sounds correct. And okay, so they're coming out in June, no problem. Then people started finding them in stores in like late April, early May, which was weird because they were showing up in stores, but the pre-orders online weren't being filled. It turns out that apparently Hasbro printed the phrase "Who you gonna call" on the first round of cards, but didn't actually pay the licensing fees to use that phrase, which is weird that it's not just incorporated in the license, but whatever. So they had to reprint the cards, and that caused a different SKU number on the Walmart website. So the ones that were going to stores were a different SKU number, and the reason the pre-orders weren't being filled was because that SKU technically was never going to get restocked. It was a whole mess. They eventually figured it out, and people started getting these things in the mail. But the problem is, you can see here, you're getting these international cards. I guess that was the quickest fix. They had these cards printed up for the international markets. You can see they're multilingual. Instead of reprinting the American cards without the phrase "Who you gonna call," they just started throwing out these international cards at us, which is, for me personally, not a big deal because I'm going to open them. But I know a lot of inbox collectors were upset about it, and understandably. I mean, I understand. You think you're getting one thing, they pull a bait and switch on you. So honestly, for me, it was just, I didn't even know if I was going to get them because I kept getting emails about them being delayed. They didn't know if they were going to be able to fill them or not. I was assuming they were going to get canceled, and then all of a sudden they just shipped them. And then there's the other nightmare of Walmart shipping, where they'll bend cards to fit them into smaller boxes than they deserve. I got relatively unscathed. You can see Peter got pretty smashed up there with the corners. Ray a little bit as well. Not too bad. It's just kind of unfortunate, and unfortunately Walmart is getting tons of exclusives now, especially from Hasbro. So I'm really worried about what the future is going to hold in that regard, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. They're getting exclusives for Power Rangers, Transformers, NECA Ninja Turtles. It's a whole thing. So if this was the first round, it did not go so well for these. But, fingers crossed it can go better in the future. In any case, I want to look at these toys. I'm excited about them. So they are reissues of the original Kenner Ghostbusters. Everything I remember about the toys is the same. The figure, the little ghost they come with, the proton pack with the proton stream and the different colors and everything, which I think is really fun. The artwork on the cards, very, very cool. I ain't afraid of no ghost. Surprised they were allowed to use that phrase without paying for it. So action zapping Ray with Neutrona blaster and proton pack accessories. So there you go. Taking a look at the back, you can see, of course, the 4 Ghostbusters. Now the Green Ghost, aka Slimer, and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I did get those as well, but I was actually lucky enough to get the earlier versions with them that say "Who you gonna call?" So I've decided to keep those on card. If I can ever find another set of them in the wild, I've been to Walmart a few times now, as things have gotten, knock on wood, a little bit better in my area. And I have never seen them in stores. So I don't know if I ever find them. Maybe I'll grab another set to open. But Here is Peter, and again, I love this artwork. I'm definitely going to open them, but keep the cards. And I don't know what's with the giant insert, like the ghost goes that far, but then he's got this giant bubble of empty space. Again, you have the proton pack. Peter looking fantastic. Back of the card is going to be the same for all of them. Another thing to note is while it does say Kenner down here, it does say Hasbro on the back, which is, I don't think, something it would have done back in the day. Here's Winston. I remember this giant, big-nosed ghost. I loved that thing when I was a kid. And then this is the only one of the original four I never had. I never had Egon, so his ghost looks awesome. He's got a pink stream here. Very excited to pick this up. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead, get these open, and then we can take a closer look. So these are pretty awesome. This is definitely the height of nostalgia right here. They're exactly as I remember them for the most part. I'm going to move these guys back a little bit just because the proton streams are crazy long. But they're very cool. They each have a proton pack with a different colored proton stream. Obviously, you can see you have orange for Ray, green for Peter, kind of a neon yellow for Winston, and then a pink for Egon. And you can just kind of grab these right here, and it spins it around to simulate the proton stream, which I think is very, very cool. You can go ahead and slide this off. Basically, how it works is it just slides over the hand and kind of catches there in the hand like that. If you really wanted, you could put it completely over the hand. I think that works as well, but it seems like if you put it inside the hand, it catches a little better. The other thing you can do is you can clip them onto the back. It's a little difficult to do, but it does connect on there, so if you want them to connect on the back. Now, obviously, how I would do it based on how they kind of had it in the movies, I would want to flip it 180, but obviously if you do that, the proton stream is going to hit the ground. So you can also just go ahead and take these off. They just peg onto the back. And I kind of remember these being more of a like type of connection where it would like pop in and spread apart. So I'm actually kind of glad if that is true, if they did change that. I think it was smarter just to peg it in and pull it right out. It's a little bit easier to do. What's not so easy to do is now get this thing off of here. You have to be very careful. How do I do this? I think it come better from down here. Yeah. When I was a kid, these were very notorious for breaking. These would break off, and sometimes these would break off as well, just from clipping them on and off all the time. So definitely something I want to be wary about. Also, these would break. The proton streams would snap off. You know, they get tossed in a box or something. These almost feel a little bit more solid than the ones I remember as a kid, but I still wouldn't trust them all that much. I would be very ginger with them just because I really don't think they're going to last if you use any kind of rough play or throw them in a box or anything like that. But taking a look at Ray, very cool. Really hoping this one won't eventually yellow over time. The plastic quality, I don't want to say it feels cheaper, but it feels a little different. Maybe it's a little lighter. But overall, you know, the paint I think still works. I think the face sculpt is decent. You have the nice Ghostbuster symbol there on the sleeve. You do have basic 5 points of articulation. The arms move, the neck moves, and then you have 90-degree bend there in the leg. Or I should say at the waist. There's the leg is one solid piece. So basic 5 points, but if you remember these from when you were a kid, they'll definitely bring back the nostalgic feels for you because they're exactly as I remember them. They really did a great job recreating these. Like I said, they probably had the molds still, so they just kind of, you know, printed them out again, but very, very cool. I love it quite a bit. As far as his little ghost companion, again, it's exactly as I remember. I will say it's a little bit darker than I remember. I kind of like this kind of lighter purple is kind of what I remember the rest of the figure being like, but I guess that's just because it's the way it was poured. It's very concentrated here, so it's very dark, whereas you can get some light shining through. And it's a little malleable. It's kind of like a softer plastic. I remember when I was a kid, I used to always try to straighten out the tail, so you can move it around a little bit. Obviously, in the center, it's more solid, but the expression is very cool. Giant, big teeth ghost with a crazy tail. And you can see it's solid underneath. Some of the others are not. But, again, exactly what I remember as a kid. Very, very cool. Next up, we have Peter. His proton pack works exactly the same, only now you have kind of a bright green. And the other thing I always thought was neat as a kid, he's got bright green eyes, and that's exactly what I remember from the original toy as well. It matches proton stream, but I was like, why does he have bright green eyes like that? I always thought it was weird. But you can see the undershirt's painted. You know, the straps from the proton pack, his belt, the jumpsuit's a nice color. Again, you have that Ghostbuster symbol there on the side, the boots. Now, on the show, they always had kind of two colors where the collar would be a different color. And I believe his was green, so that might be why they chose that for his proton stream and his eyes. But all these guys only have one color for the jumpsuit. I think Ray had his collar was maybe the same color as his hair. Winston, his collar was red. And I want to say Egon, his color was pink, which again might be what influenced the color of his proton stream. So I guess they didn't want to take the time to paint these figures the extra paint color, but they kind of put it into the accessories to at least represent it, which is kind of neat. Again, this is exactly the Ghost I remember, but I remember him being lighter. And if you can see the expression there, it's a little hard to see because it's so dark, but he's got his tongue hanging out there, which is pretty cool. And he's got these hands up like he's going diving. He's got these cool ridges along the back and his little tail. And again, he's a nice solid piece of plastic. I really loved this Ghost when I was a kid. I wish I had my other ones handy to compare them, but from what I can remember, they're exactly the same. Next up, we have Winston. Now, unfortunately, they didn't give him a red beam, I guess because maybe they thought it'd be too close to pink. Although, to be fair, the yellow is kind of close to the green, so I don't know. But they got his colored jumpsuit correct. His head sculpt's not bad. And then, of course, you have the proton beam. And his proton pack works the same, articulation's the same. This is falling out of his hand, so let's get that back in there. Ghostbuster symbol. But yeah, Winston looks great. Now, I will say he's the only guy who has a fist for his other hand is a closed hand. All the rest are open. I don't really know why. I wonder if they anticipated you putting this on this hand. Maybe something like this. I don't know if Winston is left-handed. He might be. I'd have to go back and watch the movie. Is Ernie Hudson left-handed? I don't know. Oh, something else I wanted to mention. You can see on all the proton packs, they have the Ghostbuster symbol embossed in the plastic there. If you can see that. It's not the best. There we go. So that's kind of cool. I always thought that was a neat detail. Let me zoom back out here. So yeah, I'm going to maybe let him be left-handed for now. And then his ghost, oh no, Peter. See, that's what, I don't want them to fall over and land on the proton beams. That's the worst thing that could happen, I think. Winston's ghost, this one I do not remember being hollow inside. I remember it being straight across and just completely filled. Probably a cost-cutting measure. He looks good, though. See, I'm kind of back and forth because I feel like the solid ones come out darker and the hollow ones come out lighter, and when they're lighter you can see the detailing better, so I kind of go back and forth. I can't decide if I like it better when they're hollow or when they're completely filled in. But I remember as a kid I used to try to open this guy's mouth too. But very cool little ghost. Again, exactly what I remember. And then Egon is the only one I never had as a kid, but he's got the pink proton stream. And you could tell they did not have likeness rights when they made this cartoon because this looks nothing like Harold Ramis. He's got the red glasses and the big blonde pompadour. But again, the jumpsuit looks good. You got the Ghostbuster symbol there. All the same articulation. Proton pack works exactly the same. And then this ghost is pretty cool. I kind of feel like I've seen this guy in the intro. But he's very cool. And he's actually completely hollow. So for something like this, I feel like you could maybe put it on his head or something like that, pretend he's getting slimed or attacked or something like that. And I don't know if that's something the original toy did. I kind of feel like with how open his mouth is, it's very possible. But either way, it's a very cool looking ghost. I like it a lot. So really, really very cool. So like I said, I love these guys. I'm very happy I decided to grab these. I'm going to go ahead and put Ray's proton pack back on here. The only thing, like I said, I want to be very careful about when I choose to display these. I don't want to come in one day and see that they've fallen forward and then landed on this, because that's just going to snap right off. So maybe if I put them up in the air, so at least if they fall forward, you have a decent chance. Something like that. I don't know. But I just think they're really cool. I think that they did a great job reissuing these. Definitely what I remember as a kid. And just such a great job. Such a great job. I'm so happy to have these again because, like I said, the ones I had as a kid were definitely worse for wear. The proton streams on most of mine were broken. And for whatever reason, Ray just turned brown on me. It was really weird. But these are great if you can find these. Now, at this point, unfortunately, they kind of came and went as far as Walmart's website. If you can find them in stores, then I would definitely advise you picking them up if you want them. Don't pass on them because I don't know how... I don't even know if this line is already dead or what's happening. I would love it to continue. I don't know how much more they would do. I feel like this was just kind of like a fun little offering because they had the license back and they already had these molds, so they thought it was a quick cash grab, which it was. It's a very smart play. But I would love them to at least just put out like the Ecto 1, just that one piece to put out, I think would be really cool. If they wanted to do the Firehouse or something like that, wouldn't say no. But even just to put out the Ecto 1, I think would be the perfect kind of cap to the line. Because there was a lot of figures and ghosts and things, but I can understand them, doing a small run, just do the Ecto to finish it off. That would be perfect. But I'm kind of getting the feeling that this was a once and done thing. Unless they decide to open them up, sell them on Pulse or something like that, I don't know. But I don't think Walmart's going to get any more in stock. I don't know that for a certainty. It's just kind of my guess. It's the feeling I get from the fact that they kind of came and immediately went out. But if you can find these things for, around retail price, I wouldn't go paying crazy prices for them. But if you're an original real Ghostbusters fan like I am, these are definitely a lot of fun. And they crushed it. It's exactly what I remember from being a kid. So I'm really glad I decided to grab these. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.